Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I will continue to bring you another stormy chapter, filled with endless ups and downs, revolving around the single mother Hoai Ca and police officer Hung. After days of relentless storms, the sky finally returns a little peace. Trees are soaked with rain, streams flow full and clear, as if nature itself is soothing the wounds of recent losses. Hoai Ca shows a rare smile, believing that the trials have finally passed and life will soon be more stable. But her joy is short-lived, for fate seems unwilling to loosen its grip on her and the man she loves. Hung, after many sleepless nights of torment, has packed his few belongings neatly into a small suitcase to prepare for his assignment far away, 130 kilometers from Hoai Ca's home. In his heart is a painful struggle. On one side, the sacred duty and ideals of the police uniform, on the other, the love and concern he bears for Hoai Ca and her little child. Before leaving, he chooses to take Hoai Ca to Ha's house, where she can continue learning about medicinal plants, with Mother Ha as her support. In his eyes lies a quiet promise: I will return. I will come back to you. Yet, merciless fate always lurks in the shadows. Just as Hung disappears down the small path, disaster strikes. While venturing into the forest with Mother Ha to gather medicinal herbs, Hoai Ca slips and falls from a low cliff, her head crashing against a mossy rock. Blood quickly stains her clothes crimson, her face turns pale, and her breathing grows fragile, like the faintest thread. The sight leaves Mother Ha frozen in shock, her hands trembling as she hurriedly chews wild herbs to press against the wound, trying desperately to stop the bleeding. She sobs, shaking the unconscious girl and crying out to the heavens, knowing her frail body cannot possibly carry Hoai Ca out of the dense forest. Meanwhile, Hung has already gone far, yet his heart grows heavier with every step. An ominous unease gnaws at him, though he has no idea that the woman he loves is lying helpless in the depths of the forest, fighting death with each passing second. Will destiny grant Hoai Ca a miracle to survive? And if the tragic news reaches Hung, will he abandon everything to return, or will he bury his pain and continue down the career path he has chosen? Love and duty, life and future, all collide in a fierce struggle, pushing this story to the very edge of heartbreak. Stay tuned for today's episode to witness the next dramatic and unexpected turn of events. After the storm had passed, the little house finally found its peace again. Raindrops still clung to the thatched roof, glittering under the morning sunlight, making the whole scene look like a painting that had just survived a tempest. The livestock were safe, the roosters crowed joyfully to greet the dawn, and the ducks splashed happily in the puddles across the yard. The garden trees, though battered by the winds, still stood firm, just like the people here, weathering hardships yet remaining resilient. That morning, Hung woke earlier than usual. He watched Tony sleeping soundly, his innocent eyes shut in perfect peace. The father's heart clenched, for he knew that from tomorrow on, mornings like this would become a luxury. He gently woke his son, carefully helped him dress, and walked him to school. Along the narrow path strewn with storm-blown leaves, Hung held Tony's tiny hand tightly, giving him advice along the way. When he saw the boy walk into class, turning back with a bright smile and a cheerful wave, his heart warmed yet ached. He knew that from tomorrow, this simple joy would no longer be part of his daily life. Back home, the fragrance of breakfast wafted from the kitchen. Hoai Ca had set a humble meal, a few slices of braised dried fish, a plate of boiled greens with sesame salt, and a bowl of sweet gourd soup from their own garden. They sat facing each other, yet every glance, every word carried a quiet sadness. The meal was more silent than usual, for they both understood, this was their last breakfast together before separation. Hung lifted his bowl of rice, but his hands trembled. He bowed his head, trying to hide the worry in his eyes, yet they unconsciously turned toward Hoai Ca. At last, unable to suppress it any longer, he spoke. "If I leave, only coming back once in a while to see you and Tony, will you be alright? I can't truly feel at ease leaving the two of you here alone." The question fell heavy, like a sigh weighted with sorrow. It pierced Hoai Ca's heart. She stayed silent for a moment, her eyes glistening though no tear was shed. Then she smiled, a fragile yet resilient smile only a woman who had endured so much could wear. She gently placed her small, warm hand over his, her voice tender yet firm. "Don't worry. Tony and I will always be here waiting for you. I don't want you to give up your career, to abandon the dream you've carried your whole life because of me. I want to be your solid anchor, so you'll have even more strength to fight for it. On your days off, as long as you return to us, that will be enough for me. I believe that our love will never falter because of distance." Her words glowed like a quiet flame within Hung's heart. He knew how much she had lost, how much she had suffered, yet she still chose to be strong, still chose to become his support. Only a woman who loved him deeply could say such words. In that moment, they gazed at each other in silence. No words were needed, only their eyes, speaking promises beyond measure. No matter how far his road might lead tomorrow, here, this small home, with Tony's innocence and Hoai Ca's unwavering heart, would forever be his place of return. That afternoon, Hung quietly prepared his luggage. Each time he folded a piece of clothing, his heart grew heavier. Hoai Ca sat beside him, silently packing a few small things, a bottle of medicated oil, some dried food, a hand-embroidered kerchief she had made for him. Each item carried her love and her early longing. That night, before bed, neither of them spoke of sadness. Instead, they simply sat together for a long time. Outside, the moonlight shone down on the garden, crickets chirped endlessly. Inside their small home, silence reigned, broken only by soft sighs and the embrace that tightened, as if to hold on for just a little longer before parting. Tomorrow, Hung's path would turn toward a new direction. Yet his heart would remain here, where he had entrusted all his love, where a woman waited for him, and where a child would always call him father. Before officially returning to his police duty, Hung made an important decision: to transfer the pomelo orchard he had purchased and cared for all this time. The orchard had been his passion, a place where he once nurtured the dream of becoming a farmer and trader, building a peaceful life alongside Hoai Ca and Tony. But now, his duty to the police uniform forced him to choose another path. In recent days, pomelo prices in the market had soared due to scarce supply and overwhelming demand. Hung knew this was the perfect time to transfer the orchard. It would help him recover his investment and ensure the trees would not be left neglected once he was gone. The person he entrusted the orchard to was Man, his close cousin, who had always stood by him through many things in the past. That morning, the two went together to the orchard. The garden was lush and vibrant, heavy with golden pomelos glistening under the morning sun, their sweet fragrance drifting through the air. Hung reached out to gently touch a branch, his eyes filled with a hint of longing. With a sigh, he slowly said to Man, "I've poured so much effort into this orchard. Every tree, I planted and cared for with my own hands. Honestly, I feel reluctant to part with it, but now that I've decided to continue as a policeman, I have no choice but to hand it over. I hope you'll take care of it as well as I did." Man smiled brightly and replied, "Don't worry. I'll treat this orchard as my own, nurture it, and make it grow even better. Especially now that pomelo prices are high, I believe the business will flourish. And I'm grateful that you're giving me this chance. It's a real opportunity for me." The two sat down under a pomelo tree, talking and planning. Hung shared his planting experience, methods for pest control, and the best way to fertilize so the fruits would grow big and even. Man listened intently, jotting down notes, nodding in agreement. After a long discussion, they reached a price agreement. Hung knew he was making a considerable profit thanks to the strong market, but above all, he hoped his cousin would continue to prosper and gain even more from it. Finally, Man clasped Hung's hand firmly and said with conviction, "Focus on your new post. I'll send the payment quickly, so you won't have to worry. I promise I'll make this orchard thrive even more." Hung nodded, a faint smile on his lips, mingled with both relief and regret. He knew the orchard would no longer belong to him, but in his heart, it would always remain a cherished memory, a dream unfinished. He wished Man success in his business, while he himself continued the path he had chosen. As the sun rose higher, the two brothers left the orchard. The breeze swayed the pomelos gently, as though whispering a silent farewell. Hung turned back for one last look, his heart swelling with both loss and ease. He knew greater challenges awaited ahead, but behind him, he still had family, love, and now, a cousin who would continue the story of the orchard he once dreamed of. When Hung returned home, Hoai Ca was already busy folding his clothes, neatly arranging each piece, and preparing all the personal items he would need for his new assignment. Every shirt, pair of shoes, bottle of medicated oil, even the smallest belongings were carefully placed into the suitcase, as if she were tucking all her care and love into it. Hung watched the woman he loved bending quietly over the luggage, his heart both warmed and heavy. He knew that tomorrow, they would have to part. Once everything was ready, the two of them wheeled the suitcase to Ha's house, where Hung entrusted Hoai Ca to stay during his absence. But when they arrived, Mother Ha was nowhere to be found. Hoai Ca called softly a few times, her voice echoing into the still mountains, answered only by the rustling of leaves in the wind. At last, they discovered her in the field, diligently cutting grass for the cows. The three greeted each other, and Mother Ha's gentle smile shone when she saw Hung and Hoai Ca together. Though age had weighed on her, her eyes still sparkled with a simple joy at having company. After a little conversation, the three of them went up the hill to help harvest the squash. It was late in the season, the vines were heavy with fruit. The recent heavy rains had ruined some, but many remained plump and golden. They worked side by side, chatting as they picked, their laughter mingling with soft sighs of regret whenever they found spoiled gourds. Hoai Ca carefully chose the fresh ones, stacking them neatly into baskets. Mother Ha gathered leaves and cleared the vines so they could breathe again. And Hung, with the strength of youth, hoisted the heavy baskets onto his shoulders without hesitation. Sweat ran down his brow, yet his smile never faded. The sight filled Hoai Ca with both tenderness and sorrow, for she knew that soon, such burdens would be carried only by her and Mother Ha. By noon, they had gathered a large harvest. The baskets piled up beneath a tree, a sight that brought a sense of plenty. Mother Ha's voice trembled with emotion as she said, "I'm so grateful for your help. This squash field has been ripe for a while, but I no longer had the strength. The heavy rains ruined many fruits, and it broke my heart. But today, with both of you here, it feels like a great weight has been lifted." Hung simply smiled kindly and replied, "Please don't worry, Auntie. Whatever we can help with, Hoai Ca and I will always be ready. Tomorrow I must go, but I trust Hoai Ca will support you and help bring these to the market." With that, he bent down and lifted an entire sack of squash onto his back. His steps were slow but steady, his figure outlined against the golden glow of the setting sun. Hoai Ca watched in silence, her heart swelling with both pride and ache. Tomorrow, he would leave this place to continue his journey. But today, in this simple moment of harvesting together, they had shared laughter, labor, and love, memories that would remain with Hoai Ca, sustaining her through the days of waiting ahead. After returning from the squash field, the three of them gathered around a simple meal. There was a bowl of sweet squash soup freshly picked from the garden, some boiled greens, and a plate of fragrant grilled dried fish. They ate and chatted together, the atmosphere warm like a true family. Yet behind that cozy feeling, everyone knew this was a farewell meal, and from tomorrow on, life would never be the same again. As he sat with Mother Ha and Hoai Ca, Hung slowly set down his bowl, his eyes growing more somber. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "Auntie, I have something to ask. Starting tomorrow, I'll officially take my new post, more than 100 kilometers away. At first, I won't be able to return often to visit Hoai Ca, so I hope you'll allow her to stay here for a while. With you, she'll have someone to take care of her, to continue teaching her about medicinal plants. And I'll feel at ease knowing she has a safe place. Later, when she returns home, I also hope Ha will drop by from time to time to check on her, so I can be at peace." The small kitchen fell silent. Hoai Ca lowered her head, her hands clutching the hem of her dress. She knew Hung spoke out of love and worry, but each word he said only pressed heavier on her heart. Mother Ha laid down her chopsticks and looked at Hung with gentle yet determined eyes. "Son, go to work without worry. From now on, Hoai Ca will be like my own daughter. I'll take care of her, protect her. I promise you, no matter what happens, I will never let her suffer. You focus on your career, don't let your heart be weighed down." Her simple but sincere words lightened Hung's heart. He bowed his head in gratitude, his voice choked. "I'm deeply grateful to you. Thanks to you, I can leave with peace of mind." After dinner, as dusk settled, Hung rose to prepare for his departure. He turned to Hoai Ca, his eyes brimming with sorrow and longing. At that moment, the world seemed to stand still. He grasped her slender but warm hand, and whispered, "Take care of yourself. I won't be gone for long. When I have leave, I will return. Remember, wait for me." Hoai Ca couldn't speak, she only nodded. Her eyes shimmered with tears she refused to let fall, not wanting to make his parting any harder. She understood, for him to build his career, their future could one day be stable. She never wanted to be a burden, nor a chain holding him back. But as she watched Hung's figure dragging his suitcase away into the dim twilight, her heart felt torn apart. A storm of longing, regret, and emptiness surged within her, making it hard to breathe. Standing silently on the porch, she pressed her trembling hand against her chest, where her heart beat heavy and aching. Deep inside, she whispered to herself, "I must be strong. I must wait for him to return. Only when he succeeds can we truly have a home together. As long as love remains, no distance can separate us." Meanwhile, Hung's steps carried him farther away, but his heart twisted with every pace. He knew that behind him, the woman he loved was silently crying, but also silently giving him strength. The road ahead was full of trials, yet he believed that at the end of it, a little home would still be there, waiting for him to return. After Hung left, the little house felt emptier than ever. Hoai Ca knew she had to be stronger than before, for now she was not only living for herself but also keeping the promise she had made to Hung, to be a steady pillar of support so he could serve with peace of mind. That morning, Mother Ha woke her early, preparing some dried food, a small knife, and a bamboo basket. Today, she would take Hoai Ca deep into the forest to learn about medicinal plants, the precious knowledge she had accumulated over many years. They followed the narrow path into the woods, sunlight filtering through the thick canopy, birds singing and streams gurgling nearby. As they walked, Hoai Ca listened intently to every word Mother Ha explained, which leaves could heal wounds, which roots could reduce fever, which bark could stop bleeding. Each time the old woman paused to pluck a herb or point to an ancient tree, Hoai Ca etched it deeply in her mind. She knew these lessons were not only about growing wiser but could one day save lives. But the farther they went, the steeper the path became. The forest, damp and shadowy after the storms, was slick with moss-covered stones. When they climbed to a steep hillside, disaster struck. Trying to keep up with Mother Hoai Ca stepped on a patch of rotting leaves and lost her balance. She slid down the slippery slope, and with a sickening thud, her head slammed against a jagged rock. She managed only a short cry before collapsing into unconsciousness. Blood poured from the wound on her forehead, staining her face and hair crimson. "Hoai Ca! My dear child!" Mother Ha screamed in terror, her trembling hands tossing the herb basket aside as she rushed down to catch her. But Hoai Ca lay motionless, her breathing thin and fragile like a thread. Blood kept gushing, soaking through her simple brown shirt. Tears streamed down the old woman's wrinkled face as her shaking hands pressed a rough cloth against the wound, her voice breaking in desperate cries. "Hoai Ca, please wake up. Don't frighten me like this. Someone, anyone. Help us." Her shrieks echoed through the desolate mountains, bouncing back from the cliffs, yet no soul replied. Only the eerie sound of whine through the branches and the distant call of crows answered her despair. Mother Ha clutched Hoai Ca's limp body to her chest, sobbing, her frail frame trembling. She knew her strength was failing. These weary legs could never carry a grown woman over such treacherous slopes back home. In that moment of helplessness, she felt herself collapsing inside. Holding the bloodied young woman tightly, she whispered through her tears, "Oh Lord, why must you let her suffer so? My child, open your eyes and look at me. If fate is cruel, how can I save you now?" Deep in the wilderness, the heart-wrenching image remained, an old woman kneeling over a bloodied, unconscious girl, her cries of anguish blending into the haunting silence of the forest as the evening shadows crept down the mountainside. The fall was so severe that Hoai Ca lay motionless on the damp forest floor, her tangled hair strewn with dry leaves, her pale face streaked with bright red blood from the wound on her forehead. The blood poured relentlessly, soaking her brown blouse and spreading across the cold ground. The sight left Mother Ha frozen in shock, her hands trembling, unsure of what to do first. In her panic, she gathered the last of her strength, relying on years of memory to search for the familiar medicinal plants that grew along the forest's edge. With shaking hands, she plucked a few green leaves, hurriedly chewed them into a paste, and pressed them onto Hoai Ca's wound. The crushed leaves and their bitter juices seeped into the gash, miraculously slowing the bleeding. But she knew, it was only temporary. Hoai Ca's life was still dangling on the fragile edge between life and death. Mother Ha collapsed beside her, panting heavily, her back soaked in sweat. She gazed at the frail body lying still, lips turning purple, breaths faint and shallow like a candle flickering in the wind. Helplessness consumed her, and tears streamed down her wrinkled face. "Hoai Ca, please, wake up, child. Don't leave me here alone. You still have Tony, you still have so much left to do," she cried, her voice breaking as though her heart were being torn apart. She tried to lift Hoai Ca into her arms, but her aging body failed her. Her legs shook violently, and she staggered before collapsing back down. She knew she could never carry the girl across the steep slopes to find help. In despair, she could only cradle Hoai Ca tightly, gently patting her pale cheeks, sobbing as she pleaded. "Child, can you hear me? Drink a little water, please wake up, don't scare me like this." From her cloth bag, she pulled out a small bamboo flask of water, trickling drops onto Hoai Ca's cracked lips. But it was all in vain. The girl's eyes remained shut, lost deep in a coma with no sign of return. Though the bleeding had stopped thanks to the herbs, her face was ghostly white, her breath barely there, her body growing colder in the old woman's frail embrace. Mother Ha lifted her tearful eyes to the sky beyond the dense canopy, whispering a desperate prayer. Heavens, please have mercy, spare this child's life, she's far too young, she cannot die like this. In the silence of the wilderness, only the sound of her broken sobs echoed through the forest, blending with the eerie wail of the wind and the rustling leaves. Time dragged painfully slow, each second an eternity. Hoai Ca's life now flickered like a fragile oil lamp in a storm, threatening to go out at any moment. What will happen next? Hoai Ca, the young woman who has endured countless storms, now faces the thin line between life and death once again. Lying unconscious in the desolate forest, her head still bloodstained, her breath faint as if about to fade away. With each passing moment, her life flickers like a fragile oil lamp in the wind, ready to be extinguished at any instant. Beside her, Mother Ha, frail with age, collapses in despair, trembling as she cradles Hoai Ca in her arms. She has no idea how to carry the girl out of this vast wilderness. Each cry for help echoes back into the void, unanswered. Before her lies only hopelessness, as her calloused hands press desperately against the wound, praying that some miracle from the forest's herbs might save this unfortunate girl. But what if Hoai Ca never wakes up? What if Mother Ha's strength runs out, unable to bear the burden any longer? Will nature show mercy, or is fate testing her one final time? Meanwhile, far away, Hung, the policeman who had steeled his heart to leave and pursue his duty, may already sense something is wrong. If the grim news reaches him, how will he respond? Will he abandon his rising career to return to the woman he loves, or will he swallow his tears and continue down the path of ideals, even if it means loneliness? Love and duty, responsibility, and heart, all collide in a fierce struggle. What choice will Hung make when he learns that Hoai Ca's life hangs by a thread? All these questions remain unanswered. Stay tuned for the next episode to find out whether Hoai Ca can be saved in time, and how Hung will react when confronted with the harshest trial of his life.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoai Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Như mọi người cũng đã biết thì mẹ đơn thân Lý Hoai Ca hiện tại và cảnh sát Hùng đang ở chung với nhau. Tuy nhiên là do về vấn đề về công việc nên Hùng buộc phải đi xa để làm việc. Và Hoai Ca cũng rất là ủng hộ với việc mà Hùng quyết định là sẽ tiếp tục đi làm xa để tiếp tục công việc cảnh sát của mình. Vì cô không muốn cô và Tony sẽ là bước chân cản đường trên con đường sự nghiệp của anh. Bởi vì anh đã gắn bó với công việc cảnh sát cả hơn chục năm nay, và quá trình học để làm cảnh sát thì nó không hề dễ. Và điều đó khiến cho Hoai Ca phải ở lại một mình cùng với Tony. Hùng thì đi xa. Hùng đã gửi gắm Hoai Ca tại nhà của Hà để cô ở đây và học cây thuốc trong khoảng thời gian đầu này. Tuy nhiên trong lần này khi Hoai Ca đang đi học cây thuốc và đi kiếm thuốc cùng mẹ Hà thì đã xảy ra tai nạn đột xuất. Và liệu mọi chuyện sẽ như thế nào thì mời mọi người đón xem ở tập sau nhé.